Well, we're back after my phone call and cup of coffee. We are in the middle of a Chapter 3, Chapter 4 review session. This is a reminder that we will be having the Chapter 3/Chapter 4 test on Monday, March the 5th. So make sure you're prepared for that. We were just crossing over into Chapter 4 when video 1 ended. In Chapter 4, we learned about the word diatonic and the chords that are to be found within C major without any accidentals are all diatonic chords. So we studied all the triads that come about in the major scale. We studied the major 1, the minor 2, the minor 3, the major 4, the major 5, the minor 6, and the diminished 7. Those are all to be found at the top of 55, and they're summarized in the chart for you as well. Then we studied the chords that come about in minor commonly, and they correspond to, of course, the notes of the harmonic minor scale. So in the first scale degree, the common type was the minor 1. On the second scale degree, the diminished triad. On the third scale degree, the major 3. On the fourth scale degree, the minor 4. On the fifth scale degree, this is the one I made a big deal about, the major 5 chord. If you forget to include a leading tone, you'll get that chord, and they didn't use that chord. That was not one of the common types. So be wary of 5 chords and 7 chords in minor. You have to do something to both of those chords to get the common type. So on the 5th scale degree, the major triad. On the 6th scale degree, major triad. The 7th scale degree, here again, the diminished triad was the go-to. That was the number 1 most commonly used chord on the 7th scale degree. It included that B natural, so you could get back to the tonic. If you forget and you just simply stack up a chord on the 7th scale degree, you'll get a major triad, and that was not the type they used. They used the diminished to get back to tonic. So circle the 5 chord and the 7 chord and give them some attention. That's what I just said is summarized in the chart at the top of page 58. Then we did some self-test problems, like self-test 4.1. You had to give me a Roman numeral and a lead sheet symbol. And we were sort of going through in class, I believe it was Monday of last week, we were going through sorting out the differences between what Roman numerals and base position symbols look like and what lead sheet symbols look like. And here we're simply working on triads, but I would chase you back to Chapter 3 to review what the lead sheet symbols are for the 4 basic triads and make sure you understand the lead sheets and slash chord terminology and how that's similar to base position symbols and figured bass, but then there's some differences, so you need to kind of sort those out in your mind. We also worked some problems like set B, where you're given a key and a scale degree, and you have to show me the Roman numeral and spell the chord on the staff. So for instance, in problem 3, you're given, I'm at the top of 59 by the way, and problem 3, we're in B flat, and you're supposed to show me the key or the chord that comes about on the 4th scale degree. So you need a Roman numeral. If it's a chord in the 4th scale degree, it makes sense. You would have the Roman numeral 4. Okay? There's the 4th scale degree. And in major, the chord on the 4th scale degree is major. E flat, G flat, B flat. So uppercase Roman numeral 4 and an E flat major triad is what you voice right there on the 4th scale degree, problem number 3. The tricky ones in this set would be, if I were you, I would try problem number 11 because there's a minor key, but he's asking for the triad built on the 7th scale degree. Well, remember, in minor, you have to do something to 5 chords to get them to come out right, and you have to do something to 7 chords to diminish, or to 7 chords to make them turn out diminished. And the answer in both cases is you have to include a leading tone. So here we are in D minor for problem 11. There ought to be a little red flag in your head that just says, oh wait, in D minor the leading tone is C sharp. So in order to spell a 7 chord in D minor, it better include a C sharp, right? C sharp, E, G. There's the fully diminished 7 chord. If you forget that C sharp, you'll wind up with this chord. And that's not the common chord they used on the 7th scale degree. They didn't use a major chord. They used a diminished chord. Another problem I would direct you to as you're reviewing would be problem 13. Here's a problem in a minor key, and he's asking for the chord on the 5th scale degree. Well, the common type was a major 5. All right, so, but if you do nothing in B minor on the 5th scale degree and just simply apply the key signature, you'll get this chord. We're in bass clef, F sharp, A, C sharp. Well, again, we have to include a leading tone, and the leading tone in B minor is A sharp. There's the A sharp. So without that A sharp, we can't get a major 5 chord on the 5th scale degree. Why do we need a major 5 chord? Well, I would turn you back to the bottom of page 57. On the 5th scale degree, the circled chord, the commonly used chord in minor, was major 5. We haven't gotten there yet, but when we talk about harmonic progressions, the 5 chord leads to the 1 chord. Any guitar player will tell you that. If you're playing in the key of C, you use the G chord to get back to C, right? It's just the way it works. And so you have to have a leading tone in that 5 chord to get back to the tonic. We then did a little bit of Roman numeral analysis based on this open score at the bottom of page 59. You have to take an inventory of all the pitches vertically and try to reorder them in root position to come up with a Roman numeral. On the very first syllable, ach, A-C-H, I see G's and B's and D's. Happens to stack up nicely in root position there, G, B, D. So your Roman numeral in the key of D, what chord is spelled G, B, D? D, E, F, G. It would be the 4 chord. So it would be uppercase Roman numeral 4. Now here, we don't need any bass position symbol next to the Roman numeral because GBD is in root position as it lays there. So it's just uppercase 4. There are other chords in this exercise that happen to be inverted. And when that is the case, you have to show a bass position symbol. For instance, if you go all the way to the end of the exercise and look at chord number 12, I see A's, I see C sharps, and I see an F sharp. Well, you can't spell that chord A, C sharp, F sharp. That's not a stack of thirds. So F sharp is the only tone that you can use as the root. F sharp, A, C sharp. Okay, well in the key of D, the chord that's spelled F sharp, A, C sharp is the 3 chord. It's a minor 3. But you'll notice the A is the lowest note here. So I need lowercase 3, 6. That says minor 3, and oh wait, the third is in the bass position. So Roman numeral 3, 6, lowercase 3, 6. Remember now, the Roman numerals themselves correspond to the type of chord. If it's a major triad, uppercase Roman numeral. If it's a minor triad, lowercase Roman numeral. If it's a diminished triad, lowercase Roman numeral with a circle. If it's an augmented triad, which I don't think there are any in this exercise, but if it's augmented, it's an uppercase Roman numeral with a plus sign. And that Roman numeral analysis extends all the way through page 60. So I would encourage you to go through and do some of that and just practice recognizing chords and showing the Roman numeral and bass position symbol that represents those chords. Okay, then we talked about the diatonic seventh chords in major. At the top of page 62, again, if you go up the C major scale, there's a seventh chord that is to be built on each degree of that scale. There's the 1 major 7, the 2 minor 7, the 3 minor 7, the major 4 major 7, the 5-7 chord, the minor 6-7, and the 7 half diminished. Those are all summarized at the top of page 62 there. And so just a reminder to include the big M for the 1 and the 4 chord in major, because the 1 major 7 chord contains a major triad and a major 7th. So the only way to say that with a Roman numeral is capital 1, capital M, 7. If you mistakenly call it 1-7, as I've been saying in all these videos, then you're saying major minor 7th, and that's not the kind on the first scale degree. Okay, we then talked about the common types of 7th chords in minor. The minor 1-7, the 2 half diminished 7, the major 3 major 7, the minor 4-7, the major minor 7th chord on the 5th scale degree. There's your leading tone. Remember, we're in C minor. B natural is the leading tone, so that would be, you'll have to put that in to get that one. But by putting it in, you're changing that chord to the commonly used chord on the 5th scale degree. Then on the 6th scale degree, major 6, major 7. Have to include the M in there, right? On the 7th scale degree, the fully diminished 7th chord, the only way to make it fully diminished is to build it on the leading tone. Right? If you forget, you'll spell major minor 7th, and that's not the type they used on the 7th scale degree. So you got to include the leading tone there. Then we worked some of the problems in self-test 4.2, where you had to give the Roman numeral across the bottom and a lead sheet symbol across the top. And as you'll recall from a previous video, there can sometimes be, I don't know if you can see where my finger is there, there can sometimes be a seemingly different answer on the top row than there is on the bottom row. But remember, lead sheet symbols discuss the chord in a little bit different way. So the chord you were looking at there is an E major 7 chord, E, G sharp, B, D sharp, chord number 2 in self-test 4.2. A lead sheet player would think of that as an E major 7 chord built on a G sharp. But in figured bass, Bach thought of it as a 1 chord in E major, a 1 major 6-5. So that's the 7th chord built on the first scale degree in E major in first inversion, 1 major 6-5. So those answers look a little bit different. On the bottom row, we're talking about figured bass, 1 major 6-5. On the top row, lead sheet, which is modern terminology, E major 7 / G sharp. So this is a good time to go back to your lead sheet symbols that correspond to both triads and 7th chords in chapter 3 and dust those off. And then finally, I told you a good way to review and to study the chord qualities in this chapter is to memorize the chart at the end of chapter 4. Remember, this is all the triads that occur in the major scale across the top row. These are all the triad types that occur in the minor scale, at least the commonly used ones. These are all the 7th chords in the major scale. These are all the 7th chords that were commonly used in the minor scale. Okay, I will give you blank charts on the test, and you have to fill them in. So maybe it's just cold recall. You have to study them out right. But I'm telling you ahead of time, it's a really good way to study for the test. So, my friends, I'm available through email while I'm on the tour. And so please do email me any of your questions. I'm just going to make a blanket statement about your homework. I want you to keep your homework until the Monday of the test and then just hand it all in then. Remember that the homework for Chapter 4, there were 2 complete pages of homework due for Chapter 4, pages 31 and 32, which I'm sure I will have collected by the time I leave on my tour, and 33 and 34. So make sure and complete both of those, and I will collect any and all homework that is outstanding on the Monday of the test. So I've done what I can with you to help you review for this test. I would suggest that you get with some of the Harmony students that might be in Harmony 4 right now, or Harmony 3 right now, the kids that sit out in the hall during your Harmony class. And if you have some burning questions about Chapter 3 or 4 that you would like to ask before the test, ask some of those kids. Get somebody to review the subject matter with you. You could also form a little study group from within the Harmony class and review that way for the test. Again, I'm sorry we have to conduct class in this manner, but it's what you have to do when you go on the road. So we're going to do something similar with the chamber singers while you guys are gone, except the YouTube videos that we make for that week will be actual in-class live demonstration, me sitting there in the classroom teaching the madrigal singers and the chorale members. And so you'll watch those. You'll still have homework that you'll be sending me through text and that sort of thing. So I will see you on Monday when I get back for the test.